Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, fellow councillors. May I welcome you all to this AGM this morning, including any honorary aldermen whom I haven't actually been able to see this morning, but if they're with us, they'll be in the public viewing room, so welcome to them too. I'd like to thank you all for your support, not just for today, but throughout the year. And before I proceed with all my thank yous, I'm sure you would all like to join me in congratulating Her Majesty the Queen on her 70 years on the throne and wishing her the very best for her Platinum Jubilee year. So thank you first of all to our Vice Chairman, Councillor Marge Harvey, who has deputised me on a number of occasions and has been a great assistance to me throughout the year. And a big thank you too to Natalie Jones, the Chairman's PA, for making everything go as smoothly as it did at all times. And also to Debbie Vaughan and everyone else in Democratic and Member Services for help and support at all our meetings. I think without Debbie, these meetings might have been catastrophic. So I must also express my public thanks to my wife and consort Lynn. I could not have done this without her support, and I pass on her apologies for her absence today. I've met many amazing people from all walks of life whilst carrying out my duties, seeing at first hand the great work carried out by volunteers from every sector. Now, COVID perforce restricted engagements over the last 2 years, but we tried to keep the important events going. And I'd just like to mention one or two since we last met as a council. Firstly, the Hampshire Music Services Chairman's Concert at the Anvil. It was a fabulous concert, and I was pleased my son and daughter were able to come as well. Hampshire County Youth performed a rich and varied programme. It was truly spectacular as part of the Jubilee celebrations. It was attended by the Lord Lieutenant of Hampshire, Mr. Nigel Atkinson, representing the Queen, and it's an evening that I will never forget. Hampshire Music Services is one of the best in the country. It offers so many wonderful opportunities to our young people across the county. More than 25,000 children learn to sing and play each week. And there's over 60 ensembles, such as those that are performing at the Chairman's concert. So members, please, I do hope you'll continue to support Hampshire's Music Service, which does such wonderful work for our young people. And then this week, and I thought the best was left to last, my last engagement saw the champion apprentices at the county receive their awards, with Sam Winterman winning the top award as Apprentice of the Year. Another very special event for me, where I was honoured not only to select, but also to present the award to Sam. And they put before me about half a dozen applicants. I could have chosen anyone and we would have been proud of them. That was so close. It was very difficult to make a choice. So the past year has been quite extraordinary. It's been an enormous privilege for me to represent you at events around the county. It's been an honour to broadcast the Hampshire message, not only for these past 2 years, of course, but for all the 25 years that I've been a councillor here. I must say that I feel that I've worn my membership of this council with pride in all that it achieves, and it achieves it so well. My thanks, finally, to the two chief executives who have helped me over the 2 years, John Coughlin and more latterly Caroline Williamson, and to our leader, Keith Manns. I know what Keith does both inside this council and outside, and we paid tribute to him yesterday as our leader. The one thing that I would like to mention, which I wasn't sure was stressed enough by everybody, was that Keith is one of the most hard-working people I've ever met. He literally works every minute of his waking day, and his waking day is a very long day, 7 days a week. Both he and Rosalie, his wife, work very hard for us and for numerous charities. And I do take my hat off to Keith, and I wish him well in his retirement, where he will join me in doing as little as possible, I hope. So now over to Debbie. Well, before I go to Debbie, I'm just going to make a public announcement, haven't I? The fire alarm test is not scheduled for this morning. Therefore, if the fire alarm is activated, please leave the room, exit the building as soon as possible, and make your way to the fire assembly point outside the Great Hall. Please make sure that all your mobile phones are turned off and are on silent for the duration of this meeting. And that literally is where I stop, and I pass over to Debbie Vaughan for a list of apologies. Or, yes, there's Debbie.
Thank you, Chairman. I have received apologies from Councillors Prad Baines, Debbie Curnow-Ford, Alan Dowden, Jonathan Glenn, Zoe Huggins, Mark Kempg, Rob McCatter, Roger Price and Sean Woodward. Thank you.
Item 2 on the agenda. Very welcome item. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Any others? Dacia? Right, now I'm very pleased to move on to item 2, the election of a new chairman. So I'm going to invite the Chief Executive to call for nominations for Chairman of the County Council to hold the office in accordance with Standing Order 6.1 of the Constitution until the annual general meeting of the Council in 2023. Each nomination is to be seconded and voted upon by a show of hands of those present. So, Chief Executive, please.
Thank you. Councillors, could I call for nominations, please?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to propose Councillor Marge Harvey to be Chairman of this Council for the coming year.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to second that nomination. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations? Then I declare that Councillor Marge Harvey is your Chairman for the ensuing Council year.
We now come to declarations of interest. All members who believe they have a disclosable pecuniary interest in any matter to be considered at the meeting must declare that interest and having regard to Part 3, Paragraph 1.5 of the County Council's Members' Code of Conduct, leave the meeting while the matter is discussed, save for exercising any right to speak in accordance with the Paragraph 1.6 of the Code. Furthermore, all members with a personal interest in a matter being considered at the meeting should consider having regard to Part 5, Paragraph 4 of the Code, whether such interest should be declared, and having regard to Part 5, Paragraph 5 of the Code, consider whether it is appropriate to leave the meeting while the matter is discussed, save for exercising any right to speak in accordance with the Code. go to item 4, minutes of the meeting of the 17th of February 2022. And we'll go through them page by page, if that's okay with you. Page 6, page 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Members, can I sign the minutes as a correct record? Thank you. We now move to item 5, which is the appointment of a vice chairman. To appoint a vice chairman of the County Council in accordance with Standing Order 6.1 of the Constitution to hold office until the annual general meeting of the Council in 2023. Members, I call for nominations for vice chairman of the County Council.
Chairman, I'd like to propose Councillor Patricia Stallard as the vice chairman of this council for the coming council year.
Are there any other... seconded?
Chairman, I'd like to second that nomination. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Okay. So, members, I put the nomination of Councillor Stallard to the vote. Can I have a show of hands? Thank you. So the new vice chairman to move forward to where Debbie is sat and sign the declaration of acceptance of the office. We now come to my announcements, and I hope I don't bore you for too long. Members, honorary aldermen, ladies and gentlemen, can I first thank you for voting for me as your chairman of Hampshire County Council. It's a great honour, and I'll do my very best to uphold the good name of the council, which I take very seriously. Thank you all for your support, and I'll do my utmost to not let you down. I take this opportunity to thank Mal Kemble for his chairmanship, which has been through a very difficult time, and he's managed this with great humour and humility. My thanks must also go to Councillor Keith Manns and Councillor Rob Humbey, who sponsored and seconded me. Thank you very much. This is my 9th year as a county councillor. It's been a pleasure to work with such committed councillors and officers. I must thank the officers for their diligence and for keeping the council work going during one of the most difficult times. We've all worked extremely hard to serve our communities, and without the help from our officers, it would have been impossible. So many thanks to them all. I'm very aware of how hard it's been for our residents. So I commend the work that we, as an authority, have continued to do to help them in any way possible. We must all remember that we're here to serve our residents and our ambition to be seen as a practical, efficient and effective authority for the good of the residents. I was elected to Hampshire County Council in 2013 to represent the Catherington Division, which covers Rowlands Castle, Horndean, Blenworth and Lovedean, which is a very rural division. During that time, I was a member of the Health and Social Care Committee and the Children and Young People Select Committees, also being involved in many subcommittees. I was also co-chair of the Autism Partnership Board, and I'd like to think that I made a difference in all of these committees. I also look forward to returning to the committees after my year as chairman. Locally, I was a parish councillor for 10 years, and East Hampshire District Councillor for 13 years, having been chairman for a year, so I do feel that I understand the residents quite well. Health has always been uppermost in my mind, having spent time on the Queen Alexandra Hospital Committee, hoping to make decisions to improve the way the hospital was run. To that end, my theme for the year is to promote health by supporting the County Council and its residents through our policies to make Hampshire a happy and healthier place to live. Once again, many thanks for your support today and in the future. I now turn to my announcements. Firstly, it's with sadness that I record that former County Councillor Honorary Alderman Sharon Wheel passed away last month. Sharon represented the Fleet Division from 2005 to 2017. I'll pause at this point for those who wish to speak in honour of Sharon. Councillor Steele.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and congratulations. Do I stand up or do you want me to sit? I'm not sure what we're supposed to do, okay. Sharon was a warm, generous and loving person who achieved so much for the residents she represented. She was also my very good friend. Sharon would not give up on issues she believed passionately in. She would see them through to their conclusion. I often quoted from Shakespeare's Midsummer's Night Dream to sum Sharon up when she had the bit between her teeth. Although she be but little, she is fierce. Thank you.
Councillor Collett.
Thank you, Chairman. I have known Sharon for over 30 years. She was originally a Jesavalaite, and I think most of you in this room won't know what that is. But Keki Jesavala was an independent councillor in Fleet, and he formed a group of independent councillors around him, and Sharon started her career as one of those independent councillors. But one day his star burnt out, and those councillors needed to decide what they were going to do, and it was at that point that she became a Conservative councillor. The biggest mistake she made in her life, in my view, but she felt it was the right decision. It's been very painful over a number of years watching her cope with her illness, and it's remarkable that she lived as long as she did and contributed right up until the end, and then so bitterly sad when she lost that battle just a few weeks ago. I was very fond of Sharon. We didn't always agree on everything, but we could actually discuss things. And I remember one occasion meeting her at her home to discuss various issues. And I noted there were no curtains in the window. And I thought, that's a little bit odd. And I mentioned this to Sharon. I said, don't you worry about privacy with not having curtains in your windows? And she said, oh no. She said, if they're stupid enough to look in, that's up to them. But that was Sharon. That was Sharon. But Chairman, yes, very sad to see her demise a few weeks ago. She battled right to the end and is an example to us all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Chad. Councillor Forster.
Yeah, there we go. Sharon was a good friend for many of us, and we'll sadly miss her. I'd like to share one moment, which was when she came round to my house just before Christmas. She came because she had a problem with a resident who wanted her to do some things, and she wasn't able to because she was too tired. However, she came round, she made sure that myself and a number of other councillors were fully briefed on it, knew what was needed, and then spent the next 3 weeks nagging us. That's what she was like, always putting others first. We'll miss her dearly. It is her funeral tomorrow at 1:30 in Aldershot, and I know many will be coming to show their respects. There might be a few tears shed.
Thank you. Councillor Chad. We've got much Chad there. Councillor Parker, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Like Councillor Collett, I go back a long way with Sharon. When she was first standing for election as a Jessavala, as Adrian correctly states, bearing in mind that former Councillor Jessavala died nearly 20 years ago, so I can understand why some members may not recall her. But I was standing for election in a different ward at the same time. And she duly won her seat, and I didn't. But I did later on. And I worked with Sharon for over 30 years. She was always passionate about her local community, passionate about the people she represented, and passionate in particular about Fleet Pond, which I have to tell you is the largest freshwater lake in Hampshire. So if you all want to come along and take a look, it's a lovely place. And if you do so, spare a thought for Sharon, whose house was but a stone's throw from the pond itself. But what I want to relate to people is more about her as a personality, really, because she was a party girl. And after one successful election, she duly decided to throw a party in her garden. She set the date and was cleaning the house and stuff. And unfortunately, a few days before the party, she suffered an unfortunate accident when she fell off a ladder in her bedroom. I think it's probably best not to inquire as to what she was doing up a ladder in her bedroom. But she was told by the doctors she mustn't have the party. Well, she wasn't having that. So they said, well, if you must have the party, then find yourself a seat and sit in it and put your foot up. And do not move. So we managed to restrain her in a chair in the middle of the garden where she held court. And she was assiduous in making sure that her foot was on a stool. However, I did have to gently point out that she'd actually got the wrong foot on the stool. And I think those of us that knew Sharon will recognise that. I will miss her a lot. I will be there tomorrow in Aldershot. And I think I may shed a tear as well.
Thank you, Councillor Parker. Councillor Branson.
Thank you. I knew Sharon because she was in my chain gang when I was Mayor of Havant in 2009 to 10, and I just remember her as a very warm, friendly person. We got on really well because we were a similar age and similar sort of thing. Did a lot of things together, and obviously very, very sad to hear about her death.
Thank you, Councillor Branson. Is there anyone else who would like to say something? Okay, I think we should observe a moment of silence for Sharon. would now wish to mention awards that the Council has received and officers meriting special attention. Public Sector Catering Awards 2022, Anne Dudley, Catering Manager. HCC Care won the Care Catering Award. The judges were impressed with how Anne's management had improved service delivery in all areas of residents' nutrition and hydration, particularly in the context of the importance of food in the care of the resident. In Children's Services, Steve Crocker, Director of Children's Services, has been appointed President of the Association of Directors of Children's Services for 22-23. Within local government, ADCS is the professional contact point for children's services issued with central government. The association works closely with ministers, government officials, the community and voluntary sectors, local government organisations and other professional bodies on designing and delivering integrated services for children and young people. It reflects well on Hampshire County Council that our director has been elected to this role for the next year. We wish him the very best of luck in what will be a big year ahead for the National Policy on Children's Services, with a green paper on special needs and a white paper on schools already published, and with an independent review of children's social care due to be published shortly. CCBS. I'm pleased to announce Barton Farm Primary School in Winchester, designed and built by Hampshire Property Services, has received a regional award from the Royal Institute of British Architects. It's being considered for a national award. The judge's citation reads, Barton Farm is another exemplar from the Hampshire County Council stable, and it continues the tradition of simple, self-effacing school buildings that feel like they really have been designed for children as much as grown-ups. In addition, our design of Hamilton Special School for Reading Borough Council is shortlisted for Civic Building of the Year. In April, Hampshire Library started 15 weekly Ukraine Connection drop-in sessions across a number of locations. These have been incredibly well received by participants. Events are attended by guests and host families, volunteers and local and partner services and organisations. The library team continue to develop this initiative, tailoring it weekly to support guests and host families to make good connections in local communities as they are welcomed to Hampshire. Hampshire Libraries Bring the Library to You campaign, which kept Hampshire communities connected with their libraries during lockdown, has won the CILIP Marketing Excellence Award for 2021. CILP stands for Chartered Institute of Library and Information Professionals. The Library and Information Association is a professional body for librarians, information specialists and knowledge managers in the United Kingdom. The campaign extended the reach of the Hampshire Library's Facebook pages to cover over 115,000 people, and this benefit has continued post-lockdown. I'm delighted to announce that Leap Country Park has been awarded a Bees Needs Champion Award by Defra in their local communities category. These awards recognise examples of exceptional work helping pollinators survive and thrive through the county. For Leap Country Park, this award is for the creation of a new pollinator area within the sensory garden at the country park, working in partnership with a range of year groups from Oak Lodge Secondary School, and also encouraging the wider community to start their own pollinator patch. On the 14th of June, we commemorate the 40th anniversary of the end of the Falklands conflict. Hampshire continues to have very strong links with the armed forces, and a great many military personnel from Hampshire are involved in this conflict. The County Council has staff members and at least one County Councillor who proudly served with distinction in the South Atlantic and in direct support of the campaign to retain the Falkland Islands. Many more staff have relatives who served. We take this opportunity to thank them and to remember those wounded and injured either physically or mentally, together with the 255 military personnel who made the ultimate sacrifice and lost their lives as a result of the 74-day conflict. The following week is Armed Forces Week, which will be a time to reflect and thank the whole of our wider armed forces community. Finally, members, thank you once again for attending today. I now turn to the election of the Vice Chairman. We've done that. Sorry, it's in the wrong place here. Yeah. Short pause.
Well done, Fisher, on your turn.
What happened? That's on 5, yeah. Sorry. Number 7. We now turn to the outgoing leaders report. To receive a report from Councillor Manns to represent his outgoing leaders report.
Thank you, Chairman. First of all, I would like to congratulate you on becoming the Chairman for the coming year, and I wish you every success, as I do to the new Vice Chairman as well. I would also like to pass on my condolences to Sharon Wheel's family. I knew Sharon not as well as many in this room, and I think it was very sad to see her pass on. Let me start by briefly mentioning some of the items of interest since our last council meeting in February. With your agreement, Chairman, I would then like to broaden my report and consider how the council has progressed over the last few years and some of the issues it is likely to face in the future. Since our last meeting, we have moved to a new phase of the pandemic, namely living with COVID, which means giving people more responsibility to individuals regarding the precautions they take, whilst acknowledging the need to be ever vigilant if new variants of the COVID appear. We are also feeling our way forward carefully towards a new post-pandemic work environment. Whilst doing this, we've had to face new challenges, particularly the challenge of refugees arriving in our county from the Ukraine. We've now accepted well over 1,500 refugees, a similar number to Surrey and Kent. The three of us are the leading recipient counties in the country. With regard to the county deal discussions that have been going on now for a number of months, we've now produced a revised prospectus that will shortly be discussed with our districts and boroughs as we move forward to look at governance of any county deal that is offered to us. This follows a meeting of the 4 unitary leaders and myself with the Minister for Levelling Up, Neil O'Brien, last month. Before moving on, I would just like to say a word about awards. The Chairman has mentioned the ones this year, but I did take the opportunity a few days ago of compiling a list of these over the last 2 years, because I think it's very unlikely indeed that any other county in the country has received quite as many awards as we have, particularly in the area of schools. So with your agreement, I would like the list that I produced and I passed to Debbie to be included with the minutes of this meeting. I would now like to broaden my remarks, but before doing so, I want to just like to pay tribute to all the officers and staff, very well led by Carolyn Williamson and her predecessors, for the excellent work they all do. Hampshire is indeed lucky to have such a team, and I was indeed lucky during my period as leader to have such a team. Over the last 10 years, all county and unitary councils have had a continuing problem regarding their statutory responsibilities for social care and special educational needs, with the funds central government have provided to do this. Over this period, the demand for these services has steadily increased and the funding for them has not kept pace. Therefore, each year we have to shift our resources from our discretionary services to meet this shortfall. We had hoped that the new social care national insurance levy would help meet this shortfall. Instead, at the moment, it is costing us significant amounts of money because whilst we have to pay it as an employer, we get nothing back because it is all being paid to acute hospitals at present. This has to change in the future. We will also need to persuade government to allow us to find further sources of income other than the council tax if they insist on capping council tax at a figure well below inflation. These issues have as their backdrop a present difficult financial situation, both nationally and internationally, brought about by COVID, energy price rises, the Ukrainian war, and new post-Brexit trading relationships. Personally, I believe we'll have to rethink our global just-in-time trading policy and look, with 2050 and net zero in mind, to shorter, more locally based supply chains using new technologies such as 3D printing to produce more goods locally that are designed from the outset to be repairable and recyclable. Before I hand over to my successor, I would just like to thank the outgoing chairman for all his support during the last 2 years, because as you know, he's been chairman for 2 years during COVID. That itself has been a challenge. And I think he's done commendably well, getting out as much as he has, doing things in a different way than was normally the case with chairman. So Mel, thank you very much for all you've done for the council over the last 2 years, and for me personally, and the support you've given me. And now, as I hand over to my successor, Councillor Rob Humbey, subject, of course, to your approval. just in case, Councillor House, you thought I'd forget that. Yes, a county that has weathered past storms with an approved budget and savings programme to take us through the next 2 years, but with challenges ahead, all of which are surmountable, provided central government pay rather more attention to the needs of local government than they've done in the past. So with that, those comments, Chairman, and with the best wishes to my successor that you're about to vote on, I end my report.
Thank you, Councillor Mounds. Now we come to the election of the County Council in accordance with Part 1, Chapter 11 of the Constitution. Members, I call for nominations for Leader of the Council.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to propose Councillor Rob Humbey as the new leader of Hampshire County Council.
Can I have a seconder for that, please?
Chairman, I'm happy to second that proposal.
Thank you very much. Are there any other nominations? Okay, fine, thank you. So we don't need to have a show of hands, I don't think, or do we need to do that? Yes, can we have a show of hands? Thank you, councillors. Members, I put the nomination of Councillor Rob Humbey to the vote. I've done this show. Should have done that first, never mind. Members, I invite the leader to confirm the members. Oh, no. I've got to allow Councillor Mounds to present the leader's badge to Councillor Humbey.
Right. Do that. With great pleasure, I may say. And relief.
I'd li- yeah. You left your name behind. um, all right. Now invite the new leader to present a bouquet to Mrs. Manns and then take the leader's seat on the podium, which she's already done.
Just going to do yeah, okay. I'll do my speech first.
Your speech first.
Well, no, I'll do it.
Oh, there it comes. Thank you. Leader, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, Chairman, thank you. But before I actually start, just to thank Councillor Manns, I would just like to say that it was Rosalie's had a big birthday last week, and in true tradition of Councillor Manns, having been a pilot, he arranged something to do with an aircraft for his lovely wife, which included wing walking, and I'm pleased to say she actually did it. So well done. When I asked her how it went, she said, oh, it was nothing. So I think that was fantastic. So well done, Keith, for organising that as well. So, first of all, members, thank you. So this first part really is for me to say thank you to Keith. So as most of you will know, Keith began his distinguished career in the RAF, flying Vulcan and Canberra aircraft. And I'll be amazed if any of you haven't heard that over the last 3 years, but from that point of view. I've heard it several times as well over the last 3 years. So let the record show that when Keith was tasked with piloting Hampshire County Council through 3 and times turbulent years, he more than rose to that challenge. Among Keith's many achievements as leader, there are 2 in particular that I would like to highlight. And Keith, you mentioned some of this earlier as well. First is the assured and dignified manner in which Keith steered Hampshire County Council and Hampshire through the difficult years of the COVID-19 pandemic. At times of immense upheaval and uncertainty, we needed a leader who had a steady hand at the wheel, or who informed me yesterday at the yoke, I think I should have been from an aircraft point of view, who worked constructively and collaboratively with partner organisations and who had the courage of his convictions to make big decisions with the needs, for the needs of residents and communities uppermost in his mind. Fortunately for Hampshire, we had all those in Keith's Manns. The second achievement I want to commend is Keith's work to spearhead the development of a devolution deal for Pan Hampshire. He has personally driven a collaborative approach with our local partners and those in Whitehall, recognising the significant benefits and opportunities that devolution presents for generations to come. The strong progress we have made so far is a testament to Keith's impeccable political skill and leadership. He leaves us in the best possible position to progress our ambitions with government in the months ahead. I'm honoured and grateful to be following in Keith's footsteps and building on his legacy at Hampshire County Council. He has given me the keys to a well-oiled and successful machine. And if I can pilot it as skillfully as Keith has done, I was going to wait for groans to die down at the next pilot. I took out quite a few, I have to say to you. As Keith did over these last 3 years, Hampshire will be in very good hands. I thank Keith for many years of outstanding public service to Hampshire and the genuine decency which he has underpinned his approach. Although he is stepping down as leader today, I know that he will continue to represent Brockenhurst with distinction for the remainder of his term. I also thank Rosalie for her support and patience with the demands that council business has placed on Keith's time. And I wish Keith and Rosalie all the very best for their golden wedding anniversary in August, and hope they enjoy the precious time they will now spend with their children and grandchildren. I would also just like to say, at the event yesterday we had, to say cheerio to Keith in here literally yesterday evening, I presented Keith with a Meccano model of a Vulcan bomber. There was certain concern when it said on it, in level of difficulty, 1 to 5, it had 4. But I'm pleased to announce that Keith has finally managed to open the box last night. So well done, I like that. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Members, I invite the Leader to confirm the members of his Cabinet.
Okay. Almost disappeared. Chairman, thank you. So I'd like to announce the members of my Cabinet. First of all, Councillor Ros Chad, who is a Deputy Leader and Executive Lead Member for Children's Services. Councillor Nick Adams-King, Executive Member for Highways Operations. Councillor Liz Fairhurst, Executive Lead Member for Adult Services and Public Health. Councillor Steve Foster, Executive Member for Commercial Strategy, Estates and Property. Councillor Edward Heron, Executive Member for Transport and Environment. Councillor Kirsty North, Executive Lead Member for Performance HR, and really importantly, I think for the first time, Inclusion and Diversity. So welcome. Councillor Russell Oppenheimer, Executive Lead Member for Recreation, Heritage and Rural Affairs, and Councillor Jan Warwick, Executive Member for Climate Change and Sustainability. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Cooper.
Sorry, Madam Chairman, to intervene at this stage, but can I just add a word about Councillor Manns as leader over the last 3 years? When he declared he was standing down, I did write to him, and I did say to him at the time that the 3 years of his leadership of the county had made the county a friendlier, nicer place to be in, and I think that's recognised around the room. Can I also, while I'm standing, congratulate the new leader, Councillor Rob Humbey. He's well known to me as I was his teacher back in the 80s.
And I'm quite old.
And in fact, the place I taught was St Mary's College for some 31 years, and the number of pupils who've made it into high office in Hampshire and the county and the country is quite significant. I think of Robert Choate, who is the founder of the OBR. I think of James Jameson, who is the leader of the LGA. And I think of Rob Humbey, who is leader of the county council. They're all mine. Unlike Rob, though, I was asked to leave in year 11 when I was a pupil there, back in the 60s. But Rob, sincerely, congratulations on your post.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Anybody else that would like to say anything? Okay, so let's move on now to the leader's report.
Chairman, thank you. I have 2 or 3 pieces of information to give you, and then I'll sort of do my sort of main report at the end of that, if that's okay, Chairman. So, members, since the County Council last met in February, Russia has launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Hampshire County Council stands in solidarity with the people of Ukraine and the communities affected by this ongoing conflict. I'm pleased that the County Council is fully supporting the government's Homes for Ukraine scheme. We are working with the district and borough councils, health and fire service partners to provide support and assistance to Ukraine refugees arriving in Hampshire. We are currently focusing our efforts on conducting the required safeguarding and wellbeing checks through visits to the homes of Hampshire residents who are hosting Ukraine guests. We're also supporting children and young people who enrol in local schools so that they may continue their education whilst living in Hampshire. I'm delighted that the Leaders Community Grant Schemes are now open to assist town and parish councils, charities and voluntary and community organisations with their work to help Ukraine guests living in Hampshire. I encourage members to raise awareness of the grants with eligible organisations in their area. I'm also pleased that Ukraine Connections groups are successfully taking place in Hampshire libraries. These groups offer a welcoming space for Ukrainian guests to meet socially and find out more about the support services in the county. I'm grateful to officers in the County Council and across Hampshire who have been working together amidst a complex and fast-changing situation to support Ukrainian families and their sponsors. As the government continues to develop the Homes to Ukraine scheme, Hampshire stands ready to respond accordingly and play our fullest part in helping people who are fleeing this terrible conflict in Ukraine. The County Council will be introducing a scheme to provide bus passes to help support Ukrainian guests hosted in Hampshire over the summer, and that the scheme will be in place and operation shortly. We are working closely with the bus companies to ensure that we are able to put in place a practical scheme that will work effectively to support travel on local buses. Bus operators are also contributing to the cost of this scheme, and I regularly meet with all the bus operators, and they were very keen that we did this together in partnership. There are several schemes running, but I said, could we not effectively sit down and try and get some sort of consistency right across with the bus companies in other counties as well. So this we hope to put in place very, very shortly, because it has been a bit confusing, I agree, that in some areas we're doing different processes to what we were looking at doing as well. So I look forward to that happening fairly soon. So in terms of the Jubilee, I'm delighted that our celebrations to mark Her Majesty the Queen's Platinum Jubilee are fully underway in Hampshire. In March, we had the pleasure of welcoming His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales to Winchester to view the new Lycosia of Winchester statue. His Royal Highness formally opened the Ark Cultural Hub, which was recently refurbished thanks to be a partnership between Hampshire County Council and the Hampshire Cultural Trust. It was uplifting to see crowds of people enjoying a special day together at this important interfaith and cultural event. Occasions such as these, which provide opportunity for people to come together as a community, are a truly fitting way to commemorate Her Majesty Queen's 70 years as a dedicated public service. I'm pleased that Hampshire is supporting the Queen's Green Canopy initiative, with many trees planting projects taking place across the county, as well as contributing to our target of planting 1 million trees by 2050. The Queen's Green Canopy initiative will leave a lasting environmental legacy for future generations to enjoy in remembrance of the Platinum Jubilee year. Many of these events and activities have been organised in Hampshire to mark the Jubilee will take place during the extended bank holiday weekend in 2 weeks' time. I encourage members to raise awareness of all the fantastic celebrations happening in their area, whether people are attending one of the large community picnics in our beautiful country parks or hosting a small party with neighbours on their street. I hope that everyone has a chance to get together with their families, friends, and in their communities to enjoy the special Jubilee bank holiday weekend. Members, it is truly an honour and a privilege for me to be standing here before you today as the new leader of Hampshire County Council. And it truly is. I am, I think most of you know, Hampshire through and through. I've been saying for a long time, actually, that my family have lived in Hampshire for 450 years. I just suddenly realised I've been saying that for about 10 years, so I probably ought to be saying 460 years now, as far as my aunt tells me anyway. Don't blame me if it isn't. She's done all the work on that. So I think it's obvious that I am, very much a Hampshire man. I've lived in the county all my life, owned several small businesses here. I'm passionate about doing the best for people, businesses and places that make Hampshire the great county it is. My vision for Hampshire aligns with the Hampshire 2050 work that Roy Perry started and Keith Manns carried forward. I believe that a strong economy is essential to support excellent public services, provide high quality and inclusive employment, business opportunities, enhance the quality of life for the people of Hampshire. I also believe that Hampshire's natural and historic environment is our most valued asset as an essential component of the county's current and future prosperity, along with the people of Hampshire, of course. A robust economy and stunning landscape are key factors in what makes Hampshire an attractive place for people to live, work, study, play and visit. As leader of Hampshire County Council, serving the people of Hampshire and always will be my most important duty. That is why, in my view, enabling a thriving economy and supporting a thriving environment are connected parts of the same discussion about bringing prosperity to communities in Hampshire. I am retaining economic development in my portfolio as leader as a signal of intent to demonstrate the importance I place on ensuring that our economic activities have the needs of Hampshire's people and places at their heart. As County Council leader, I intend to work positively and constructively with all our partners, including local communities, to seize every opportunity to work differently and better for the benefit of people and places in Hampshire. I am therefore pleased to confirm that this work is already underway to formally establish local place-based regeneration and growth partnerships with district authorities as agreed by the Cabinet in March, and working with our Unit 3 authorities as well, partners as well. Members are all acutely aware that times are very tough for people and public services at the moment. The County Council is experiencing significant demand on all our services, especially children and adult services, and significant pressures on our financial position. There are huge challenges facing people and places in Hampshire, but equally enormous opportunities. I will be striving to make the very most of those so that we can not only continue, but to enhance the excellent work of Hampshire County Council. I look forward to working with you to do my best for the people and places in our wonderful county. Thank you.
Members, we now move on to item 10 on the agenda. There are no deputations, and there are no deputations on this occasion. Members, I confirm there are 30 minutes in total for questions. Councillor Porter, please, would you like to ask your first question?
Chairman, Councillor Porter is isolating at home with COVID. I wasn't listening carefully enough to Debbie's announcements earlier on as to whether her apologies were given, but they were. So could we perhaps ask for written answers to Jackie's questions, given that she's not here? Thank you.
And we'll make sure that everybody gets the
And congratulations on your election, and also to
Thank you very
Rob,
much.
who claimed he was going to be short and sweet yesterday. Maybe. Thank you.
The updated report is being considered as a matter of urgency in accordance with Section 100B of the Local Government Act 1972 to enable appointments to be made in accordance with the constitutional requirements. Thank you. So we will move on to proportionality and A, B, C and D. Are there any questions? You want me to read them out? Okay. Oh,
You asked me.
ask the leader. Thank you. Leader, can you read that for us, please?
Chairman, thank you. I'll stay sat down at this point if that's okay. I'm sure that some of you realise that that doesn't actually make a lot of difference, so I'll carry on like that. Members, the updated report sets out the draft proportionality table together with the proposed appointments as listed in 12A to D on your agenda. Chairman, I move the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Members, are there any questions or debate? If not, members, the recommendations A to C are on page 4 of the updated report, and I put these to the vote. Thank you very much. Yeah. Right, we move on now to agenda item 13, constitutional matters. Members, I invite the leader to present the report.
Chairman, thank you. Members, this constitutional report proposes to delegate authority to the monitoring officer in consultation with the relevant group leader of any political group represented on the Conduct Advisory Panel to vary membership from such group on the panel, should it be required, for the purpose of interviews and recommendations of the County Council of independent remuneration panel members and independent persons. I commend the report to the Council and move the recommendations. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Can I invite Councillor House?
Thank you very much, Chairman. And can I just thank the leader for accepting this recommendation. Most councillors probably won't be aware there's a little group that meets from time to time called the Opposition Group Leaders that meets with senior staff, and it's there as kind of like a procedural thing in the background, just to iron out the odd occasional glitch that arrives or question or challenge or whatever, because there are all sorts of bits and bobs that turn up around the time. And this has been instituted a couple of years ago by the former Chief Executive, and Carolyn's carried on with it, which is really useful. And this was one issue that came out of that little group. And it's there just to help make the wheels work a little bit better, or with a little bit of grease or oil in them occasionally to make them work. So thank you for accepting this recommendation. It just makes things work a bit easier. Thank you very much.
Members, are there any questions? Thank you. Members, the recommendations are on page 24 of the agenda pack, and I put these to the vote. Thank you, members. Matters, so that